Here's a tip that I just learned recently and thought it was a good idea, so I thought I would share it with everyone. And it has to do with installing mortar underneath a bathtub to provide extra support for the bathtub if needed. And most of the time there is going to be a gap between the bottom of the bathtub and the top of the floor. And I'm not going to go over all the detail about that in this video. I do have other videos on that. This video was all about installing some type of wire mesh, if you possibly can. Now, I don't know if you're going to need this on concrete. And I've only removed a few bathtubs where the mortar was actually broken into small pieces. So let's go ahead and install some type of lath with furring nails on top of a moisture barrier. And this would be the same type of assembly you would use when installing the stucco lath. And I would strongly suggest using a moisture-resistant building paper, not a waterproof plastic or waterproof membrane like I've seen before. Will be to prevent the mortar, not the concrete. I don't suggest using concrete on this. And try to make sure that the wire is not going to touch the bathtub, because the rocks in the concrete and the wire could actually damage the bottom of the bathtub, leading us to the reason why we're going to use mortar to support the bottom of the bathtub. And the reason why I'm going to use the furring nails is to raise at the very least the perimeter of the lath or the metal mesh you're going to be using. And I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal if the center of the lath is laying on top of the building paper, because I think the perimeter lath would hold everything together. And even though I'm not going to suggest the mortar is going to crack or separate like we're looking at here, I've got to make you aware of the possibility that it could. And if it does, you could end up with the bottom of the bathtub being unsupported and then allowing the bottom of the bathtub to move over time. And the movement on the bottom of the bathtub from people using the bathtub, whether sitting in it or standing in it, could create enough movement to make the bottom of the bathtub crack. And this is more likely to happen in an acrylic or fiberglass bathtub than a steel or a cast iron one.